Hey guys, and welcome to another PixLab tutorial Tuesdays. Well, okay, so this week I'm going to be showing you guys how to do some very simplistic character models. Now, I know that maybe a lot of you, wouldn't like this specific style. It's not very realistic, but I know that a lot of people do struggle with character creation in general, and having characters in your game that you don't require a whole, you don't have to take a whole course on how to create characters. This will give you a good head start, and this will be a character creation series, so for those of you who might be excited about that, which will cover everything from, which we'll be doing now, modeling it, box modeling it, doing all the colors and the little details like the buttons and the facial hair, etc., as well as rigging it, and then animating a basic walk cycle, and maybe a jump, sort of jump animation as well. Then if we get enough likes from you guys and support, we'll then take that, or I'll then take that and export that model into Unity, show you guys how to rig up a little character controller, and then you'll be able to see your little character in your world, and who knows, we might even do like pickup animations for you, whatever, and who knows, maybe even release the asset set or models, I don't know. So I'm going to show you the walk cycle really quickly. So there we go, that's the little guy walking around. Pretty much he's just chilling, he's just having a good time. Now the animation style is very old school animation, as well as the modeling style. I mean, I took inspiration from sort of older 2D, retro sort of gaming styles, and I tried to portray that in a 3D way, modernize it a little bit, and yeah, so this is what I came up with, and that's why the animation maybe looks a little bit start animation. I like it. I could have gone for something more realistic, but I'm not going to. I like this. So that's pretty much him done, and yeah, you'll see him be able to walk around in your worlds probably pretty soon. This tutorial series will be spanning over the next couple of weeks, so do keep an eye on that. Here are a couple of other characters that I have been having a lot of fun with designing. Notice this guy's got sort of like I don't know, brown pants, blue shirt, button up, moustache going on there, very classic sort of guy. He's in no rush to get anywhere, but always gets the job done. And then next guy, I don't know, he's maybe like old school 80s party, I don't know, who knows, disco, who knows what he's about. This guy's just been so frustrated because the youth of today, and I don't know, well, what am I even saying? And okay, yeah, I forgot about him. He's probably my favorite. He's pretty cool. And then we got this guy. He's law enforcement. He's quite agile. Well, not at the moment. Okay, so I've set up a little basic scene here. You'll see this is my basic rig right now. I'll just flesh this out really quickly. I'm going to show you how to set up the proper rig when we do the rigging tutorial stuff. So I'm using him as a reference. Reason is that I just want to make sure I'm staying to the same style. I suggest you do that whenever you're modeling characters. They need to be very similar, like this. This is very stylistic. They have to be similar. Each and every one has to be based off a certain shape and whatnot. But I am going to show you how to do this from scratch. So let's just jump right into this. You'll see that I'm using Blender version 2.72. I'm not too sure. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's probably a new release out by now. But honestly, this one's fine for me for now, and you should be able to follow this even if you have an older version, because we aren't going to get into anything fancy really. So I've just placed my cursor in the middle there, and I am going to add a new mesh. So it's just add here at the bottom, mesh and cube. Then I'm going to just zero out the position, the location there. Then I'm going to go right into it, and then I'm just going to move it up on the Z-axis, and I'm in orthographic view right now because it just works for these characters. I actually do recommend, if you're sculpting or modeling, use perspective mode, and you'll see me switch over to perspective mode just now. But for right now, these squares need to be perfect, so I'm going to sort of stick to orthographic for now. So the first thing we want to do is just sort of drag this up. This will be the body. I'm going to scale in the y-axis to sort of match that. So maybe a little bit more like that, and then scale in the z-axis to around there. Then we'll have to scale in the Y some more, Then I'm just going to switch here to the side view, well, front view for me, but it should be your side view. I actually modeled the original characters a bit off, so I wasn't paying attention. Anyway, so that's our basic body square. That's great. But now we want to create a symmetry, so identical on both sides. We want to use the mirror modifier, which I'm going to show you in a second. Sorry. Okay, so we got your box here. You're just going to hit Control R to cut a line through the middle of it, an edge, new edge loop. And then I want you to switch to Z and select all the vertices on that side. So it's B to select with a box, and then just delete all of those points. Then we can switch out of Z, and now you have half a box, half a body. If you go to the little spanner here on your, what is this, your inspector, I don't know, your inspector panel, let's call it your inspector panel. And you add the modifier down here. You're going to hit mirror. For me, it's Y. If you're working in the X-axis, yours should be right already. I'm just switching to Y right now. And then make sure in your option sections you switch on clipping. What this will do is it will merge any vertex that gets to the middle of that axis. So this is great because then there will be no double vertices and you won't be able to misplace any of the middle points. Okay, so then don't apply it, you just keep it active. Okay, next thing that we want to do is make sure that our body is sort of the same width here. So let's just select those points, drag them in a little bit. I think go for a little bit of a skinny version here. Okay, great stuff. Now we're going to Control R again to cut another edge loop down here, and we're going to cut it and shift it down to pant height. Now I'm going to make his pants a little bit higher than this other guy's, because this is Fraser. This guy's, he's just being lazy right now, isn't he? Okay, so from the top, at your top point here, we're going to create that little neck piece that you see here, the little piece of flesh sticking out. Now you'll notice my characters, they don't have a neck. The arms aren't actually attached, nor are the legs. They sort of just float freely around the character, which makes animation a breeze. And modeling is just really quick. Sculpting these, or not even sculpting really, box modeling these, just so quick. Then I'm going to E to extrude this face, and right click to center it so that it's flat on top of the other face, because I don't want this being shifted up at all. Then I'm going to just drag in the Y to round about there, scale in the X, and maybe drag in that Y a little bit more. That'll give us our neck area. Next thing, I want you to hit Shift D to duplicate that face, and right click to center it right there where it is. Then drag it up on the Z axis to about the height of where the head would, or the neck would stop, so where the head starts floating. Hit Extrude again, so E to extrude, and then drag it up on the Z axis to about the height of a head, which should, well, okay, let's make it a little bit higher. Okay, then I want you just to broaden the face a little bit, like that, and then select the two faces there and just scale on the X-axis. Nope, it's not going to work. It's not gonna work. Oh, that's right, I have to select all of them, scale them on the X-axis. That'll give us that. Scale that on the X-axis, and I'm just going to select this whole thing, the whole head, scale it a bit more on the Z, just like that, and drag it up a little bit. Yeah, I'm kind of liking that. That feels pretty cool, pretty good to me. Okay, now before we move on, I'm just going to save my file quick. Before we move on, I want you to go to the materials. So again, that's just the little ball with the checkerboard sort of thing on it, the icon. Then you're going to add a new material. We're going to call this skin color. Okay, then we're just going to go right ahead and I'm just going to go for like sort of light fleshy, I don't know, sort of color. Who cares? If you want to create an avatar or a little leprechaun, you can do whatever you want. This is not a guideline. A suggestion at best is what I'm doing here. I'm add another color. I'm going to call this shirt. Okay, I've already got a material called shirt. Who cares? Then I'm just going to drag out to a blue, green. Let's go with a green color. Green, sort of olivey green color. Who knows? And then I'm going to create another one. I'm going to call this pants. I probably already have one of those as well. Yes, I do. I'm just going to go with like a darkish brown black color for the pants. Create another material and call these shoes. And then I'm going to just drag this down to like black. I find that, honestly, like with the shoes, try and just go with like almost like a pure black, because it just makes it easier. This will actually be shoes and buttons, probably. Okay, now I want you to enter edit mode again. Select the part of, now you'll notice skin is already attached because that's in your first slot. So select every part of the shirt, which is just this top piece minus the neck spot. Click on the shirt material and hit assign. That will assign that color to that area for those vertices. Then select the bottom section for the pants, select those, and then go to pants and hit assign. Now you'll notice we actually have sort of a character coming out here right now. Okay, his head is a bit wide, so I'm just going to narrow that in a bit. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, now before we get into any details on the face or like doing buttons or anything, we'll do details last. We're going to flesh out the arms really quickly, and then we're just going to do legs as well. So let's just rock up and do it real quick. Okay, so what you want to do here is you want to just select the side piece of the body here, hit Shift D, drag it out. That'll already assign it with that green color from the shirt. Then you want to pretty much scale it on the x-axis to be, I don't know, the thickness of your arm really, and then extrude it and drag it in on the Y so that you get the width. And I think that for these characters, almost square arms is the best for them, at least it works for them. Then I want you to select that whole arm, scale it on the z-axis until you get sort of the length of the arm that you want. We need a little bit more than that. So yeah, that should do. Maybe a little bit less because we're going to extrude the hands separately. And then you'll notice that the shoulders don't exactly line up perfectly, and that's part of like the style as well. Okay. Then the next thing you're going to want to do is hit Control R and cut exactly in the middle. You want to cut one ring. So after you've selected it and you've got the edge slide going, just right click and it will center it. Then create another one in the middle of the top section of the arm, drag it down about that distance away from the middle cut, and do the same for the bottom part of the arm like so. Okay, now this will be your basic edge loops for animation as well. 3 loops is generally pretty good. 3 to 4 loops would be good for animating limbs and sections like that. So now what we want to do next is, well, what I'm going to do, and this is really just stylistic, I'm going to select the top loop, I'm going to hit E to extrude it, and then scale it on the middle point like that. That will create that sort of sleeve thing that I've got going on the other model. Then I can select, just by hitting Alt and right clicking, select both those edge loops there, or face loops, I don't even know what you call them. And then I select the bottom face here, and then I'm going to assign skin color. So I click on the material skin color and I assign it. That'll already look like sort of like arms, and that's pretty good. Now for the next part, you'll notice that I have sort of a thumb section and I have a main hand section with a little gap in between. So in order to get this, you're going to have to sacrifice your low poly design so far by adding one edge loop here in the middle, going down the side of the arm, and on the front to the back of the arm, you're going to have to add one edge loop and shift it a bit to the right and add another edge loop so that you have that little finger gap that we were looking for. Then you're going to select the faces at the bottom of the arm here, as well as the thumb, which is in the front, and then we're going to scale that out to, well, let's use that guy there. We got him there for a reason. Scale it down to there, and then I'll select our thumb and scale it back to about there. Now this is all good and well, but it doesn't quite look like a hand just yet. And in order to get it to look a bit more like a hand, we're going to select the 2 outer edges of the hand section, pull them up, select the inner sections, pull them down. Okay, maybe bring these down a little bit more. And then on the thumb, what did I do on this other thumb? Okay, on the thumb what I did is I just dragged in the forward facing face and the inner face a little bit, like that. And that gives you a very nice sort of hand looking thing. Our skin color is a bit bland though. He looks a bit like a vampire or maybe like a zombie right now. Okay, Next is the legs. Super easy to do. So just go back into edit mode if you're not there already. Select this bottom face on the pant section or the body section. Hit Shift D to duplicate that face. Right click to just leave it where it is so that it's on top of that face. Now just scale it down. Okay, now in order to get the gap in between the legs, what we're going to have to do, so undo that, is go to your modifier here, your mirror modifier, and just uncheck clipping. So we don't want it to clip anymore, not for now at least. So then you just unselect that and then scale in your face. Now you'll see it's not bound to the middle point. Then add the clipping thing there. Okay, so what I've got there is sort of square legs, I think. Yeah. Okay, so now make sure your leg or that face is sort of square by just scaling it in on the Y and then shifting it out towards the outer edge of the body. Now bring it down a little bit so that it's sort of floating in the air below the body section. And now we're going to actually just extrude it. So E to extrude, and then right on the Y-axis we're just going to push it out. And again, I'm just going to use him as a reference here to get that sort of height that I want. That's perfect. Okay, then once you get to where the end of the pant is, pants are what is wrong with my grammar today? You're going to hit extrude again, and then what you want to do is try and get it almost to the 0 point. I did make my model slightly higher, but it really doesn't matter too much. So pull that all the way down, and then select this forward facing edge. Then what you're going to do is extrude it, drag it out to about the length of a shoe, which is there for this character, and then we're going to just select the top vertice, select the bottom vertice, hit Alt M, okay, and then merge at last, select merge at last. That'll give you your shoes. Done. Okay. Now again, we need edge loops for animation, so we're going to just Control R, and then you've got your first edge loop, and then you're just going to right click to center it in the middle of the leg, and then Control R again in the top section of the leg, drag it down to sort of that distance for the knee, and again to sort of that distance for the leg. Now with legs, generally, the sort of thing that I notice is that the top leg is sort of longer than the bottom leg, but I don't know. Let's see, what did I do here? No, we're going to leave them in the middle, really. However, this leg is looking pretty thin, so I'm just going to Control plus until I have everything selected, and then I'm just going to scale it out on everywhere except the Z, so Z axis. So what I did there is I hit scale, I hit Control Shift Z, so that it excludes Z from my selection or from my scaling axis. Then I'm just going to drag them in a little bit. That's pretty good. I like that. That's like sort of thicker legs, more believable legs, and that's pretty cool. Then again, as a stylistic thing, you'll see I have like these sort of roll-ups here at the bottom. So again, all I do is Control R in the bottom section of the leg, drag it down to where I want it, then go to face selection, select that ring of faces, hit extrude, right click to just to keep them centralized, and then scale it up a little bit so that you've got that sort of, rollout. Then we select every face in the shoe, like that. And then we go to our materials, click on shoe and buttons, and assign that. So there we go. That's your basic model. Now again, you can shift the sleeve roll-up section, because now with the length of the hand coming in, the top height of the arm, or the upper part of the arm, looks sort of short. So then what you need to go is face selection or edge selection, whichever works best for you, and then just select all the edges or faces like that. And because we're working in very straight sort of axis, and nothing's on like funny angles or whatever, we don't have to use slide edge. Instead, we can just drag it down like so until we get like that sort of roll-up section that we want. That looks pretty much good to me. Now before you carry on, just go into your edit mode and select everything, and then under shading and UVs in edit mode here on the left in your tooling panel, you just want to hit normals recalculate. I do this every so often just so that we don't have any funny artifacts later on. Okay, so then let's focus on the head really quickly. I'm going to go for the same sort of hairstyle because that seems to be quite popular in the style that I sort of researched, except that I'm going to add like a nice beard to him as well. I'm going to make him sort of old, so greyish color. So let's go ahead and we'll add another material here quickly, create a new one, and then just call it hair. Oops, how's that for spelling? Hair. And that's already like a whitish grey, so we're just going to leave it at that. Now we're going to create an edge loop for the edge of the hair which we want, so there, and that'll also be the beard line coming down. Then create the edge loop for the top, so I'm just Control R every time, I just hit Control R and scale it in. Okay, I don't like that one so much, I'm dragging and just widening it a little bit. And then I'm going to add another loop here for that beard line, which will come down from the back, and then I'm going to add one more to the front. Now part of the beard is I want this to drag, so I take the front face, I'm just dragging it down, so that'll give us that sort of beardy shape that we want. Now I'm going to select that entire section of hair that I want to actually have as the beard and as well as the hair all at once, and then I'm going to extrude it, and then I'm just going to drag it out on the y-axis first, and then I'm going to scale it on the z-axis, on the x-axis. There we go. So that'll give us that sort of beardy, bearded guy sort of look. And then you'll notice that we have one problem, that's underneath the face. We don't have enough depth. So I select those two faces, and I just drag them down a little bit. It seems to have selected the wrong face there. Yeah. Okay. So we just drag that down a little bit. That gives us that sort of depth that we want. Then I'm going to go, this is probably a bit tricky, but just Control R on that loop and it'll select all of those parts. Then I have to hand select these faces, of course, because you can't get in close enough, and then Control Shift and Alt together and right click on the next loop, and then just select the sort of rogue faces for this, like that, and then assign the hair color for the beard there, and then video record. Okay, so then just select all your faces as I said and hit assign on the hair color. This grey doesn't really look like a sort of oldish person, does it? So instead what I'm going to do is I'm just going to darken it a little bit and shift it a little bit to this yellowy section here. Yeah, I like that. That feels pretty good to me. Now there is one more problem. Nobody wears a beard like this. We need that mouth section. So what I'm going to do, what am I going to do? Actually, I don't know. I feel like I could live with this. Yeah, again, this is the style. This is his personality, if you will. Okay. So the next section is going to be, look, we're not going to create glasses for him. Really, it's so pointless for him because I'm going to create a hat for him. So we're going to do like a cowboy hat or something for him. Okay. So, but before we do, let's move on to our buttons. So you're going to select this front body face here, and then shift duplicate it, and then drag it forward a little bit, and then I want you to scale it down until you get it sort of there to the middle point. Then immediately assign shoes and button to that face, push it in until it's about the width of your button, and then scale it on the z-axis until you have like the sort of button that you want. Now we're going to go with straight buttons for him because, I don't know, he feels like that kind of guy. And then once you've got that, just shift duplicate that face and drag it down, and then you have to hand position these buttons so that you have a character, so that you have the spaces right and you have your character the way you want him to be. You want to do these a bit more sloppy, it'll make him seem like he doesn't care as much about his appearance or whatever, or he might be wearing a bit more of a raggedy sort of shirt. Now, I like that. If you wanted to create the round buttons, it's pretty easy. You just go in there, select one, select the face on the or the edge on the outside. So with edge selection, you just select that edge and scale it down, and then move it inwards, and then give you a round button. But for him, I'm going to go with these like sort of square buttons. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. Now for the hat. So we're going to select this, just one of the top faces, doesn't really matter which one. Shift duplicated, drag it up a little bit. Okay. Then, actually for this guy, because we're going to do the cowboy face, let's just check. Okay. I'm going to select this edge here, and I'm going to hit Shift duplicate for that whole edge and scale it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to scale it on the X so that it's that little bit of width around his head, and then I'm going to drag it out on the Y. Okay. And I'm going to push it up a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to select the top edge and I'm going to drag it up to around there. And then it's just a thing of filling faces, which isn't that difficult. I'm going to select this part, drag it in, fill that, and you know what? We're going to make this hat. I'm going to make this hat the same color as his pants. It'll make it easy for us to distinguish. Okay, so there you have sort of like a Russian hat, which I'm not doing. No, I'm not happy with that at all. Then I'm going to just drag it down to around about there. That should give us what we need. Select that, extrude it, drag it out on the Y, scale it up on the X. For me it would be maybe Y for you, who knows. Okay, now he sort of looks Amish, doesn't he? He really does. Okay. So, if we drag these up, would that give us... no, that would just make it look worse. Okay, he started out as a cowboy, now he's Amish. Maybe if I dip this middle section... Okay, I'm dipping in the middle section to create that sort of cowboyish lick sort of thing. And then I think what we need to do is add sort of like a curl. So let's select these side edges, extrude them out. Okay. Then take these top edges, extrude them up, and then what we can then do is drag these up quite a bit, take this bottom edge here, drag that up to create that rounding sort of thing that we want. Select this whole section, push it out that way, select these top sections, push it out, or push it in rather. And there we go. Now he looks like a cowboy, sort of. I don't know. And then, in just for the sake of it, what we can do is select this edge, that edge, scale them on the X. No, they won't scale on the X for some reason. Drag that out, and yeah, that's pretty much him. He's done. I like that. I think he's a pretty cool looking guy. Sort of old. Feels like he's been places, maybe, who knows. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe, hit like, leave a comment below, and if you want to see the rest of this tutorial series, please let me know, because if there's demand I will continue and I'll show you how to rig this character, create a functioning rig for all his animations, do a couple animation. Maybe I'll do a walk, cycle, jump animation, pickup, maybe him holding a gun or a weapon, who knows how this could go. You could please make suggestions below for what you want to see me do with this character. I think he's pretty cool looking. I really do like him. I think he looks pretty cool. And then let's just add that. And then yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, show the love by hitting subscribe. We're almost at what, 60 subscribers now, and I love producing these videos for you guys. And yeah, keep on learning.